Everybody, welcome back to the channel. In the previous video, when I launched this series, I initially planned for it to be a monthly thing. But after uploading the video, rechecking the script I wrote and chatting with some friends about it, I decided to make a couple of changes. First, without spoiling anything, I want to dive a bit deeper into the movies I talk about. And second, I'm turning this into a weekly series instead of a monthly one. Covering 20 movies in one go, like I did last time, was tedious and got a bit sloppy throughout. So here we are, starting fresh with just 4 movies for the first week of the year. Let's get into it. This movie felt like 12 Angry Men on steroids. First things first, even though this is a movie largely driven by dialogue, still it managed to deliver a gripping story. The elements of a failing marriage, a platonic love, and twisting the truth, if there was one, was well integrated into the story. Some parts obviously stood out for me more than others, such as the amount of French people not understanding English so they need to do everything in French is mind-boggling. And this even has a part during the couple's recorded fight. The husband blames his wife for them having to speak English, claiming this puts them on her turf all the time. My guy, you're French and your wife is German. English is the middle ground, it's not her turf. Also, and I promise I'm not trying to diss French people here, je m'en peux français, why is everyone, especially on the court, so damn sassy to one another? Like, can y'all calm down? Now, let's talk about the cinematography for a second. I found the shooting technique on the trial scenes very immersive. It actually felt like I was watching a real-life trial unfold. And while we're speaking of trials, during one particular moment of it, the general dialogue really reminded me of the trial parts from the famous novel The Stranger by Albert Camus. Without giving too much away, it felt like reasonings of the blames were getting a bit absurd and irrelevant, much like in the book. If Justin Trier and Arthur Harari drew inspirations from The Stranger, that will honestly make me very happy. For one last note, and I don't want to get deeper because I have more movies to talk about and I want these reviews to stay spoiler free, the movie's inconclusive nature made it stand out even more. It forced me to pay even more attention to the characters and the details. Every mimic or how something is being said had even more importance. I found myself trying to form theories even after I've done with the movie. As you might remember, in my previous video, I said even though it's one of the most famous movies ever, I didn't expect to love 12 Angry Men as much as I did. Well, here comes Rosemary's Baby, another highly regarded classic. But this time, I have to say it didn't quite live up to my expectations. My main problem with the movie was its pacing. I believe the story could have carried its runtime if the movie was around an hour and the 50 minutes mark. But for the generality of the film, I have to say I wish I didn't know what happened in the end. Unfortunately, this is the curse of its iconic status. I won't spoil the climax here because it's the highlight of the film, and I hope that if you decide to watch it, you can experience it without prior knowledge. I'll admit the ending is striking and I would have enjoyed it much more if it had been a surprise. The movie does use its key elements well enough and it doesn't try to poke you in the eye with them. These elements are manipulation, the stripping away of personal freedom, paranoia, and patriarchal family dynamics. The usage of these elements done it in a way that it really looks like a regularity for the most part. But after around the halfway mark, Rosemary and us start to notice the cracks on the invisible walls that these tropes set. Another annoying part for me was the ignorance and naivety of Rosemary. I don't know if this was intentional or a fateful depiction of the source material, but girl, you smell something is fishy. You have the problems and nearly every single person around you is brushing them off. Just go to one of your best friend's house or a family member's. She just goes along with whatever she's told. I guess some aspects of this is connected with the patriarchal family dynamics trope that I mentioned, but still, she only starts to take the matters in her hands near her labor, and at that point it's too little, too late. So, will I recommend this movie? If you don't know anything about it, sure, why not? Be open-minded and give it a shot. But if you're like me and know the gist of the end, I'd say don't bother. But now I'm curious about the original book. I like to read the original source material to maybe think of a better way of adapting, so I might give it a go. Okay, this is the second movie I watched back to back that involves a cultist setting. Either I'm going to take a break from this kind of movies or I'm committing 100%. I watched the original Suspiria a couple of years ago and I know it's often hailed as one of the more iconic horror movies ever, but I'm not seeing it. I didn't like it. I thought the writing and execution couldn't deliver what they intended and meant to, and the ending was meh. Usually, movie remakes doesn't deliver like their predecessors, except for the superhero movies. But here in the 2018 adaptation, I felt like this was what the original movie should have been all along. The film strikes a well balance between mystery, an eerie atmosphere, and unsettling body horror. Combined with its cinematography, these elements make for an unnerving experience. I especially love the subliminal imagery in the dream sequences. It was both mesmerizing and terrifying. The story is set in 1970s Berlin during the Cold War, and this historical context runs parallel to the events at the Dance Academy. Themes of power struggles, political divisions, and the desire for a change are woven seamlessly into the narrative. Also, the film's grayish, pale color palette managed to reflect both the cold, distant nature of the Dance Academy and the bleakness of Berlin during that era. But I gotta say, even though the movie's cast is well formed, the MVP of the film is clearly Tilda Swinton.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
She plays 3 characters, and I'm not spoiling which ones, you need to figure it out on your own, but she showcases her incredible range once again, and I think we have to give her flowers. I watched a lot of movies where she plays the supporting role, and nearly every time she shines brighter than anybody and managed to steal the show. It is baffling to me that how she hasn't been nominated for more Academy Awards. Tilda, for me,
You the real MVP.
Anyway, so yeah, the movie. I've enjoyed it. And if you like psychological horror movies that has a cultist undertone, I think you will enjoy it too. I know people love to compare remakes to their originals, and I get it, it's natural. But in this case, these are essentially 2 different movies inspired by the same source material. Comparing them doesn't do justice to either. That said, the original still sucks. I guess we're saying no to cultism. For the most part of the film, I was saying to myself, wow, what a great Stephen King adaptation. Haven't seen that since The Shining and It. And it went like that throughout the movie, until the end. The ending was disappointing, sure, but more than that, it was very cringy. I don't know if the original source material has it liked it or not, but even if it had, why didn't you guys try to improve it? I was ready to give this movie 3.5 stars, and at some points I've even thought about giving it 4, but after that ending, all you get is 3, no more, no less. Now, aside from the ending, I have a huge problem with the start, and that might be even stupider than the ending. This is not a spoiler, I promise. Around the first parts, when the couple re-enters the house to start their kinky sex session, they won't close the front door. I'm not trying to say lock, I'm literally saying closing the door. Who does that, for crying out loud? Jesse, the main character, even stares directly at the open door while heading to the bedroom. Guys, it ain't that hard to say, hey honey, wait, let's close the door first or that dog might enter the house. It's not rocket science. I'm still baffled by that part. But let's talk about what I loved for a second, because those parts were fucking great. Once Jesse is stuck in the handcuffs, the movie becomes very claustrophobic. The sense of captivity is deeply immersive, and her every movement and decision to survive had me glued to the screen. The added presence of the wild dog and the creepy man, whose existence remains ambiguous until the end, further heightens the tension. The movie also explores deeper emotions and traumas of Jessie. These appear as subconscious projections as embodiment of herself, her husband, and other figures that had an important effect on Jessie's past. We see a woman confronting and battling her inner demons during a survival situation. The movie draws awareness to what a lot of people suffer during their lives, and I found that very powerful. It highlights how someone might seem okay on the surface but be struggling silently. Sometimes it's on us to notice the signs and offer support. Overall, it is a very captivating movie, and as a Stephen King adaptation, I will put it on the better side of the scale, but unfortunately they couldn't land the ending, so that is a downgrade. And that's it. Maybe I could have watched more movies, but I have a life to live and actually wanted to give a little bit more effort on the editing side. I don't know if I did that because obviously I recorded this in advance, but there's a possibility that I got lazy, so we shall see. And before ending the video, I want to make a tiny bit of a resolution for myself and for this channel in 2025. My personal goal this year is to watch more than 100 movies. I hit 84 in 2024, so that's the first benchmark I'm aiming to surpass. And for this channel, I want to keep this as a weekly series, so that means at least 52 videos this year, and I'm setting the bar at there as well. I don't know if I can keep that up, but we'll see. I've also got a few more video ideas in the works, so if I manage to pull those off, this goal might just become achievable. Anyway, thanks so much if you stayed until the end. If you liked the video, why not press the like button? Subscribing will be much appreciated as well. Happy New Year, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.